Welcome back to another episode of the CRL podcast. My name is Caleb Smith, driver of the 54 High Five Racing truck and ARCA car on Monday and Wednesday nights, joined by just Rob.
Yep, just Rob Sherwood tonight, co-host and avid fan club leader of Yoshua Altus.
Yeah, I mean, winning his way into the what would be chasing his third championship in the CRL Truck Series, really in clutch fashion. I wouldn't say he needed the win, but it definitely helped. Um, Really a
I
thriller,
would
you know.
say he needed it. I mean, when you look, Jordan Travis finished second, and CVS, we're definitely making that a thing. Finished fifth. Lane finished sixth. I mean, I feel like all the playoff guys were super competitive, so I feel like he really kind of needed that. Honestly, I mean, he went into the night, I think, four below, I believe, if I remember correctly.
There was a point in time where on the broadcast it was all yellow banners in like the top six, because you had all the championship, all eight that were still racing, just there, like all next to each other. And then some stuff had happened. We had caution in the with some lap cars, and that really tangled everybody up, brought them back together. And then you had a restart where there was an incident with, I believe it was CVS, and then Ricky Harden, which took them both out of the championship, um, which was really unfortunate because, yeah, we're definitely going to call him CVS, but
Yeah,
um, yeah, but he was 2 points out. So had he just had three more positions on Jordan, he would have made the championship four. So that is
yep.
unfortunate for him. Also, Ross Tatum, two-time back-to-back champion and our reigning CRL Truck Series champion, out of it. Had the equivalent of mechanical failure 2 weeks ago, and then at Phoenix, dropping below the start-finish line at Phoenix way too early. So he would have been black flagged out of the way, which would have ended his race. So, but I mean, in moments like that, you just kind of have to accept it because it all comes down to one race.
Yeah, I mean, Ross is really good about putting things in perspective. I mean, he didn't expect to win back-to-back championships. He was very humble about it, and even the week before Phoenix, he even made the comment, if I make it, I make it. And it sucks because when he did so well all season, to have that big of a cushion and then to have your internet be the issue at the end of the season when it matters most. I mean, there is nothing else you can do about it. It's technology, you know. I mean, you can be frustrated about it all you want to, but it doesn't change anything. So I feel for him because he was definitely deserving. But you know, super thankful for him for his part in CRL and being a part of our team, as well as being a good friend. And he had a shot there, and unfortunately for him, it did not work out. Fortunately for Josh, it did. Yeah, it was quite a race. Maybe you can kind of give a little bit more perspective being in the race because I was kind of spectating throughout, just checking in. But I will admit that I went to bed before the race was over. Been trying to go to bed earlier, so I do have a funny story about that I'm going to tell you when we get more into this. But I'm curious to hear about your perspective on how the race kind of unfolded for everybody, from playoff guys to maybe somebody you were racing around.
Yeah, so the the race was overall good, and I felt like, so I've been practicing these past few weeks, days for the race, and I found I've actually been finishing better. So we're gonna start doing that, and maybe I can finish top tens more. Um, but I was running seventh, eighth, pretty much all night, and I was actually watching the battle for the lead kind of unfold, on that long green flag run we had after we got the cautions out of the way early, and then a lapped car had gotten into another car, and I was battling Crank Bell, the 14, for the best of the rest in our side of the bracket, and then you had Spinelli and Ghost on the other side battling. So my whole objective was to, yes, finish well, but also just finish in front of the 14. So I think I qualified fourth, and just it was stay in front of the 14. But I was actually, able to kind of watch everything unfold. Um, and then, like I said, caution came out. Had a car spin in front of me. I hit it, kind of destroyed my truck, but I had no choice but to continue. And then watching all of the chaos that kind of unfolded um, with the championship, I guess 8 drivers, making aggressive moves. Um, Parker was up there mixing it up. He could have just sat out this race and showed up at Homestead um, after his performance the week prior, but he was up there. He wanted to get another win. Um, and then you had uh, you had Josh, who had a really good late restart and ended up walking home with the, I guess you could say a walk-off home run, winning the race and locking himself into the championship four. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, it was a pretty good race. It had its moments, but I mean, everyone was racing somebody. I don't think there was a dull point in the race. Um, the track is terrible. I will go ahead and say that right now. I know I'm not the only one that has that opinion. But it was a good race. Um, I went back, rewatched it. Um, watching the drivers make aggressive moves, you could tell that it was a pressure-filled situation just off the way they were racing because they weren't racing like that all season until that moment.
Yeah, I was gonna give kudos. I know this is gonna come across as glazing, and I don't mean for it to, but I had the thought last week that honestly Phoenix was a great race to be a cutoff race to go into the championship for. Just because when you have a round based format, it lends itself to, I don't want to say, chaos, but it lends itself to, um, elbows out racing and tight racing and guys giving it their all. And so, I just want to give kudos on the track selection for this season. I know it's not the most popular place, but I felt like it was appropriate. And honestly, I felt like it put on a good race from what I saw. And honestly, on top of that, I mean, it's one of those things, right? Like if you have clean air and you're out in front, then you're going to love it. If you're back in traffic and you can't pass, you're going to hate it. It's the same way at every single track we go to for the most part. I mean, admittedly, Josh and I had even talked about it going into the race because he said he learned a lot from the last time we went to Phoenix, which is our championship race, I think 2 or 3 seasons ago, whichever race that was. You know, I practiced and really tried to just nail qualifying because I knew clean air was going to be so important. And honestly, if you can hold that outside lane, it's really hard for people to pass you unless they have fresher tires. And so, you know, Josh rode behind me quite a bit a few seasons ago and got to see like, how important clean air was. And so we even talked about that this week, is focus on qualifying, qualify up front, which, that didn't happen for him. But, um, he even said when he got the lead off pit road towards the end, he said he felt like he knew it was over at that point because as long as he could get a good enough restart and keep that outside lane from getting to his quarter panel, then he knew as long as he had clean air that he'd be fine. And that's just kind of how Phoenix is with every style, every car. I mean, that's how it is. But I will say it creates exciting racing, which I think you even you mentioned throughout the field. Everybody was racing somebody, so you know I um, I thought it was a great watch. I know guys were frustrated. I know guys don't like the track, but I thought it was appropriate being slotted in the schedule where it was.
Yeah, and I'll take credit for that. I made the schedule for this season,
Kudos,
which,
Khalid.
yep, thank you. Um,
Podcast host aficionado and schedule
mm,
aficionado.
now
Add it to your resume.
I will go ahead and say I did not make the schedule for next season. So when you guys see the road courses on there, that was not me. I
Okay,
did not
good
do
to know.
that. Yep, I didn't do that.
Wait,
Um,
wait, 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 wait. Did you just say road courses?
anyway, back to the championship. Um,
Okay,
yeah, so um, back to the championship four. There was racing everywhere. But also, when I was up in the booth, we didn't really pay attention to the best of the rest. I tried to keep track of it best as I could while I was up there, but we weren't focused on the best of the rest. However, I will say having the drivers that didn't make the playoffs, like myself, and Crank Bell, Joe Spinelli, and Abram Ghost, having us race, you know, harder, just try to make it to the next round. While on top of that, you have the 8 drivers racing for a championship. It basically there's racing going on everywhere because I know I was racing harder just because I was trying to beat one car. So I was racing other people harder just so I could get away from them. Um, so
It
I
also
feel like,
impacts your strategy too. I mean, you're paying
yeah,
attention to where that guy is to determine how you're managing your race too.
yeah, I had pitted early, and I talking like early because I knew I could make it on a certain amount of stops. Obviously, we had caution, so it didn't really matter, but I pitted early. I was one of the first ones too, and I noticed as soon as I pitted, the 14 followed me, and then um, another. I think it's like 40 laps goes. I think it was a 40 lap tank, um, and then he pits again, and then I'm asking my teammates like, where is he? Where is he on the track? And they're like, oh, you got him. I'm like, no, I still want to know where he is because I need to, because that's gonna dictate how I do my pit stop. Um, because I can go a little bit harder into the pit lane. Because I mean, with how flat Phoenix is when you're coming off of, well, I guess it's turn 2 now because they repositioned the start finish to off of 4. But I mean, it's so flat you can carry so much speed going into and plus that cone's further into the wall. So um, I ended up getting back in front of them, but I was saving my tires pretty much the whole race. But back to what I was saying, there's racing going on everywhere, and I feel like we do a very good job of making sure it's like that. Because if yeah, we show up, we enjoy racing, but if you're not racing for anything, then you kind of like, all right, well, why am I here? So it's nice that we have that. Um, so, but I race Ghost for the Best of the Rest championship on Monday night. So I guess it'll be later tonight because it's going up Monday morning. But yeah, so that should be exciting. But enough about that. Let's get into our championship for drivers. And the focus is on the 4 championship drivers and who will end up taking home the CRL Truck Series Season 23 championship. We'll go ahead and start off with one-time winner of the season. We just talked about him, Joshua Altus. He is a 2-time CRL Truck Series champion. Um, he is the driver of the 94 Apex Mountain Apparel SMB Motorsports Chevy. And Rob, he is your teammate, so take the floor.
Yeah, I mean, he's my teammate and he's also like a brother to me. He's my best friend, so I got to kind of go through his prep for or well, or lack thereof for Phoenix. He has always been somebody who is super prepared and he really didn't want to overthink it going into Phoenix. He felt like he had a decent handle on it, but he didn't want to overthink it. Um, this year was probably one of the only years and on the Monday Night League that I can think that he had to miss a race. He actually made one fewer race than what everybody else did and still finished, you know, uh, comfortably enough in the points that he made it. I know he wasn't as comfortable as he would have liked to have been. Um, but yeah, no, he was super prepared for this week, whether he knew it or not. And this year I would say he's been quiet, which is kind of funny considering he still has you know, I'm trying to look at it now. It looks like he's got 6 top 5s and 9 top 10s. I feel like most people in this league would take that as a win. I mean, it's just like we've talked
Yeah.
about the competition level going up. So, this past week, I knew that he really wanted to win. And I will say this, talking about that story that I was going to tell you, I had fallen asleep before the race was over. And I remember Monday night, I have my phone set to go to sleep mode at 9:30, and I've got notifications silenced. Well, I have notifications coming through from certain people, including him. And I had left my phone on ring because normally it's on do not disturb rather than sleep mode. And my wife heard my phone going off, and she said she was worried that something was wrong. And so she looked over on my side of the bed because my phone was on my charger. And he had sent me a couple of text messages, and he basically just was like, I fucking did it. He was really proud, and I was proud of him. He knows how hard it is to win in this league. And I will say this, to have a win like that when it's walk-off style, momentum is a real thing. So, I know we'll get into it later, but I'm super amped for him to get another chance to compete for a championship in this league, just with how competitive it is. And I know that, he and Ross have been working some at Homestead, so he'll be prepared. But he said he's going to take the same approach and try not to overthink it. So, all around, he had a great season, a quiet season, but he also earned a well-deserved win. So I'm glad to see him get it at his highest point at when he needed it.
Yeah, and like I said, going for his third championship, which
He'd
is
argue it should be his fourth. We're
well,
back to Indianapolis.
yeah, back to Indianapolis. I mean, it should be his fourth, um, but it's not. It will be his third, um, which I mean, that's still a lot, especially in the series.
Yeah.
But moving on to our next driver, Jordan Trass, driver of the '79 Alloy Motorsports truck. He's got 6 top 5s, 12 top 10s, and has come close multiple times this season to winning a race. Just hasn't pieced it together yet, and maybe later tonight it will be his night, and he'll bring home a championship.
I don't know if you remember, but we actually had this conversation at the beginning of the year because I felt like Jordan could be a sneaky pick for the championship four. Um, I think last year he showed flashes of his consistency, and I actually just found a fun stat. Jordan Trass is one of three people that are tied for the most completed laps in the series this year, with 1,457 laps completed. That is Parker, that is CVS, and that is Jordan. And that's with 6 top 5s and 12 top 10s. So he has made 14 starts with 12 top 10s with a percentage of 86%. I mean, you can't get much more consistent than that. So I think that speaks to his strides that he's made. And I know he would say he wants to win a race, and he would have wanted to won a race at this point. But also, I feel like constantly putting yourself in that position at some point, it's gotta make a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I I feel like he will piece it together, whether it be um, in the championship race or next season. It will come together eventually for Jordan. Like I said, in the '79 Alloy Motorsports truck. Now, you were speaking about consistency, and these next two drivers, just all about consistency. Lane Hostler, two-time CRL Truck Series champ, also the winner of the first CRL Truck Series Championship years ago. Won the first ever one. Going for number 3 in the number 61 Hostler Fence Construction Subscriber Motorsports truck. 3 wins, 7 top 5s, 11 top 10s. Um, I mean, just after the season he had last season, coming into this season, we talked about it. He felt he felt like he had something to prove coming into the season. He wants to win another championship because when he won the championships prior, um, he was racing Joey Styres and a few other people, 4-time champions in the series, and your Josh Lillys and all of that. Well, now you've got all these new faces, new drivers. um, that are new to the series, and now he's feel like he's got to prove himself again. So he could go for number three, and essentially what is a new series compared to what it was when he won his first one and second one. So I'm
Well,
excited to see what he can do, and yeah,
well, and I think he's also got a little bit of revenge or vindication on his mind, honestly, because I don't. It's we're only 2 seasons removed from him winning 6 races and not winning a championship.
yeah,
And I know there was a lot of disappointment from his side on that year, and as anyone would be when you feel like you're the best driver. But I also would argue that this season rivals that season in terms of impressiveness. Just because I would argue that the series talent level has gone up just in the last 2 seasons. Obviously winning 6 races is nothing to shake your head at, but this year with 7 top 5s and 11 top 10s, especially when your teammate is Parker, and we'll talk more about him in a minute. Um, Lane is just another one that he's always there. You can find him in the top 5 pretty weekly, whether it be on long run speed or short run pace. And one thing I've always given Lane credit is he's willing to try strategies that I admittedly would not try. There's been times where he's benefited from being off cycle where he caught a caution, and I never would have thought to have pitted to put myself in that situation, and he did. And when you take a guy that is smart strategically and then also has the capability that he does, he is going to be a threat. And he was a threat there a couple seasons ago at Homestead, and we're right back there. And I know that he will take what he learned from that season and he'll apply it to this season as well. So I I'm looking forward to seeing him compete. He's earned it to get back there, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of performance he puts in.
yeah, and you brought up his teammate, Parker Collins. I mean, what a season by Parker. Um, wouldn't say it's out of nowhere, but this is definitely a different Parker than what we've seen in previous seasons. Um, Parker Collins, 3 wins, 11 top fives, and 12 top tens. Driver of the 87 subscriber motorsports truck. I mean, what a season by Parker. Pretty much every race he's won, it was in dominant fashion. And maybe at Homestead it could be the same.
It could be. I mean, there has been a lot of times I've seen Parker this season, and you just are kind of, I don't want to say, left in awe, but it does make you question just how he's figured out what he's figured out because he's just been so good. I think New Hampshire was one place we've talked about. He was just so much better than everybody. He talked about
Yeah,
the line he had learned to run. He was so good at Indianapolis. He's been so good at so many places this season. And I will say this one advantage that Parker has over the other three competitors is his qualifying efforts. We kind of touched on it. He has 5 poles and 14 starts this year at 36%. And, Homestead is a little bit of its own animal in the sense that it does require you to save tires, but he's proven that he can do that. And then you look at it and it's no different than any other track. If you start in front of your competitors, you already have an advantage. So that is a very beneficial thing, unless it turns into a caution fest that kind of throws strategy on its head, or you have an ill-time caution. It's important whether people want to admit it or not, and whatever track you go to. So I mean, you look at it with 3 wins, 12 top tens, and 11 top fives. I mean, it's insane. It truly is.
it is, especially because you and I both know how difficult it is just to get into victory lane, but to have 11 top fives in 14 starts. I mean, that is insane. Um, Homestead is going to be 130 laps, with 5 sets of tires, 4 extras in the pits. Um, I mean, I've run some practice laps, and the wall seems like it is the fastest, but I don't know, because I know what I think is fast. I see what they're doing, and it is not what I'm doing. So I'm very interested to see what they're going to do going into the race, and what they're going to do for qualifying. Because just watching them operate really changes the way you race. Kind of studying what the competition is doing. But I'm excited to watch it. I'll be racing, but I'm definitely going to go back and watch it. It's going to be entertaining, and hopefully we have a good race on our hands later on in the evening. But you can catch the race on OSR Network at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the race start at 8:40 p.m. Eastern, presented by Ghost Athletics. That is the CRL Truck Series. Rob, do you have anything else you would like to say about the Championship 4 and the race at Homestead?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. It'll be fun to watch these four guys go at it, and not just the four guys, but it'll be interesting to see how Ross does. I know he'll probably want to go win just to kind of make up for it in a sense, just to. I know it always is a what if game, but I'm sure he'll want to go win and prove that he should have been there. I know Jacob will want to do the same thing, Ricky Harden as well. So it'll be fun to see all those guys go after it. But one thing that I will say is, you didn't ask for it, but my pick is Joshua Altus, ride or die.
I I my pick is Lane Hostler. Um, at the before the season started when we inducted him into the CRO Hall of Fame, and he had adding three more wins on top of him already having the most wins in series history, being a two-time champion. Um, we when he came up short of the championship a few seasons ago, I think it was the first championship Ross won. So this would have been three championship races ago, two championship races ago. Sorry. Um, he was very disappointed when that happened.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think everyone would be. Um,
yeah.
and you could tell it got to him. Um, and I've been in that position before, and it sucks. The following season, he didn't have the season he wanted. Um, and then now this season, really coming back into form, I think it's going to be Lane Hostler's night to win a third championship. Um, and nothing against the other three. I think this is anyone's race. Um, and if Jordan wins his first race of the season tomorrow night, what a race to do it. If
What a
Parker,
time.
yeah, what a time to do it. I mean, not only would you get, you know, the championship belt, you would also get the race win. Um, Daniel Hemrick,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
honestly,
and
great
then
comparison.
if Parker wins, I mean that's just a cap to the cap. What a cap off a wonderful season he's had, dominant season he's had. Um, I
I
think he's
think
the.
it.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think if Jacob were here, he would pick either Parker or Lane. So let's just give him Parker, since I think he would pick one of those two anyway.
Yeah, and you know I just I'll go ahead and say it because I know he's gonna listen. Jordan, we nobody picked you, but we understand the scenario in which you're in. Um, you know, 0 wins, six top fives. You've been really consistent all season. Um, and I know he's been practicing a lot. I think tomorrow night he could win, or tonight. Sorry, I think he could
Well,
win.
that's the thing. He doesn't have to win. He just has to beat the other three. I mean, that's the other thing to remember here. You
I
don't have to be the best. You just have to be the best of the four.
Yeah, I'm gonna be
So,
completely
yeah.
honest with you. I think he's gonna have to win.
Oh, do
You
I think he's going to have to win? Yes, but you also just have to make sure you beat the other three.
correct, but you got Parker, who pretty much at this point guaranteed top five. You got Lane, also 3 wins, seven top fives, so half the time he's been in the top five. Um, and then Jordan, six top fives, a little bit under 50%. And then same thing with Josh. So they're pretty much all going to be clumped together because all of them's been practicing.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
they've been
Yeah.
So
But also, you remember what happened last season. Two of our four championship drivers, myself included, were wrecked. So, anything can happen. Anything can happen. But I will say this to the four of you, you were there for a reason. You have been great all season, and we know that you will represent the league well, and you will put on a great show. And especially like you were talking to Jordan. Jordan is a great example. I mean, like we talked about, as consistent as he is, at some point it's got to make a difference. You would think. Now, whether it's this race, whether it's next season, who knows? But all four of them are there on merit, nothing else. And I look forward to seeing them put on a great show against each other.
yeah, and I'll be racing ghosts for the best of the rest. So if I if they happen to get around me, I'll try to show a little bit of mercy. But if I got ghosts around me, I gotta race them. So I'm warning you now. But um, I'm I'm ready for it. I'm ready to watch it unfold, um, and get the off season started. We got very exciting things happening with the podcast next season. Um, we have our special championship episode Friday at 10 a.m. We will have where we will have our championship winner on the podcast. It's going to be one of our longer podcasts. We're basically going to go through the entirety of their season and just break down everything. So it's going to be very exciting. But we will catch everyone, I guess, Friday at 10 a.m. before we go on our off-season break. But you know, Rob, do you have anything you want to end on?
No, no, I think we covered it all, man.
All right. Well, like I said, you can catch the race OSR Network at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and shout out to Ghost Athletics for sponsoring the CRL Truck Series. And yeah, we will see everyone. I guess we will see everyone Friday at 10 a.m. And bye bye.